So friends, welcome again to the 27th class of the Bhagavad Gita. We are studying chapter 3 of the Gita. And in the last class, we studied something very, very interesting. One was the spiritual astrology, about which we will talk soon again in brief. But there were two other things that Krishna said to Arjuna. So one, he said that those people who just know how to take from the universe or are just greedy, and they in return do nothing for nature or do nothing to offer themselves or to offer what they think belongs to them, if they have nothing to give back to the universe but only take from the universe, they are nothing but thieves. The second thing he said that all those who live only on the outside in this world and have no attention or do not take the effort of bringing all the energy within and to commune with God and the inner deities that are within ourselves, those people are committing a sin. Why are they committing a sin? And what do we mean when we say they are committing a sin? Is simply sin means sorrow. So all those people who are only entangled in the world and who give no time, energy, effort, or sincerity to communing to the God within, they will live in sorrow, and that is why they are committing sin. And then Master talked in detail about spiritualizing one's astrology. And he said that your astrological chart is nothing but the arrangement of stars has been decided by your own past karma. So he simply said that the science of astrology is the mathematics of your own actions, and it is not the mathematics of certain mute stars. So therefore, if it is your own actions, your karma has decided, and he said that willpower is greater than karma. It is because of your willingness or will that you do certain actions. So if you do have a strong will, then it is not necessary that the astrological chart which is there is going to fructify. And how you can modify this? Of course, one is the use of willpower. He said that by communing with God or by communing with the saints of God, the great masters, self-realized gurus, multiple things can happen. One is that the effect of past bad karma can be mitigated. Secondly, the effect of good karma which you're doing in the present, that can be enhanced. And thirdly, by attuning your will with the divine will, you will gain the wisdom as to correctly do your karma right now and eventually transcend all karma by transcending the I. So therefore, it is not that whatever horoscope you have is the finality upon you, that a statement has been given and then nothing can be done about it. It is not so. Now let us remember that in the autobiography, Master mentions that his horoscope mentioned that he will marry 3 times in this life. And we know that he did not marry, he was a monk, and he said that the seeds of past karma, if you roast them in the fires of wisdom, then they will not fructify. So definitely your destiny is in your hands. Right now you are writing the book of your life, your own destiny is being written, and even past destiny can be modified by your current good actions, by your current exercise of willpower, and by your current communion with God and his saints. So this brings us to shloka number 16, from which we will proceed here on today. So verse 16, chapter 3, Bhagavad Gita says, Evam pravartitam chakram nanu vartayati haya adyayurendriya ramo mogham partha sajivati. In Hindi, हे पार्थ, वह पुरुष जो इस जगत में सृष्टि चक्र के अनुकूल आचरण नहीं करता, जो अनैतिकता में जीता है तथा इंद्रियों में संतुष्ट रहता है, वह व्यर्थ ही जीता है. That man, O son of Pritha, Arjun, who in this world does not follow the wheel thus set rotating, living in iniquity and contented in the senses, lives in vain. An interesting anecdote here. So when we were, with Swami Dhyanaji, we were studying this scripture. This is about like 10, 12 years ago. And then when this particular verse came, and we were a group of devotees sitting around and we were discussing. So when this verse ended, it says, those who live in their senses live in vain. So one of the devotees remarked, and lives in pain, which is so correct. So as we are told earlier that he lives in sin who just lives towards the outer world. So the one who does not control his senses, the one who does not climb up this wheel of ascension, which we will discuss soon, is actually living in vain. So the life of such a person is worthless. That is what the Gita is saying. So therefore, high time for us to introspect as to, are we doing anything worthwhile in this life, or are we just spending our time in vain? So what is this rotating wheel that has been talked about by Krishna here? So of course we know that man has descended from spirit, from infinite formless spirit. Man has descended into a body, his consciousness has come down, but then he has to finally go back into spirit. But the person the jiva having descending in a human body in this material world, gets lost in the world of senses. He gets tempted and attracted and keeps playing in this world of senses. He is living in vain, because this is not the destiny for which the spirit has actually manifested itself in the form of a jiva. So because it is missing its destiny, because it is living at a very, very low point of existence, when so much higher levels of consciousness of existence are possible, therefore his life is in vain. So how are we going to step back into the wheel of ascension? So to step back into the wheel of ascension is that we need to perform good actions, not only good actions. So we have 4 paths, as we all know, to ascend this wheel. One is the path of Karma Yoga. So of course in Karma Yoga, you will have to perform good actions, God-uniting actions, and unselfish actions. So by doing that, you can step up on this wheel. The other method is Bhakti Yoga. In Bhakti Yoga, what you're doing right now, you're in love with this world and the things of this world, or the people of this world, or the circumstances. So in Bhakti, you are turning that love inside towards God and offering it there. So this is another way of stepping up the wheel of ascension. The third way is, of course, the Jnana Yoga Marg. And in Jnana Yoga Marg, again, what are you doing? Instead of thinking about this world, and you are thinking, how can I make more money? How can I have more possessions? How can I, get more friends and more people and more of everything of this world, either more in number or more in variety? You're just thinking that. But instead of that thought process, if you were to contemplate on the higher thought of who am I, from where have I come, to where do I need to go, what is my destiny, what is the purpose and meaning of my life. So changing your thoughts, instead of the world, but to your true self, the atman, and to God, that is another way of ascending this wheel, going back to spirit. And of course, the fourth and the final way is the Raja Yoga Marg, or the Dhyan Marg, the meditative way. So what the yogi does is again, when anybody is working in the world, he is having so many restless thoughts. He is having a mind in which their thoughts are jumping like a monkey from one thought to another. From moment to moment, the mind is getting ruffled, the mind is creating waves, and the mind is super restless. So what the yogi is doing through the Dhyana Marg is, he is concentrating and focusing his thoughts. And eventually he is taking that energy and attention inwards into pratyahara and back into union with spirit. So these are the various ways in which this wheel has to be ascended, and it must be ascended. Otherwise, what is happening? You are living in sin, you are living in sorrow, and as Gita says, you are living in vain. So we all need to do something about this. And of course, as most saints have said, that we have to parallelly follow all these 4 paths, so that we can accentuate, so we can accelerate our speed and go back to God sooner. The other thing Master has said about this shloka in a metaphysical sense is that the consciousness of a human descends from the cerebrum, from the Sahasrara down through the 6 astral centers through the chakras. And he says then from the coccyx, once it reaches the coccyx, then through the nerves. So we know that there are nerve plexuses, there are nerve ganglions, and there are so many afferent and efferent nerves in the human body. So the energy that goes down from the cerebrum to the spine, it then goes outward into the world. And so therefore ascending this wheel would mean technically that we withdraw the energy that is going out into the world through the efferent nerves. We rather take control of our sense organs, we become masters of the organs of action, and we withdraw all of this energy back into the 6 spinal centers. And through the techniques of meditation and yoga, we are able to ascend, make this energy rise in our spine and go to the point of formlessness, infinity, and then of course to exit from the Sahasrara. So that is the metaphysical and the deeper meaning of this shloka, where the abstract knowledge of the yoga science has been subtly explained. And all those who are following techniques given by Master know exactly what I'm talking of here. Okay, so here, this brings us to the next shloka, shloka number 17. So 17 and 18 have been taken together, and I will read them together. 17 first. Yastvat martireva syadat atma triptascha manava atmanyeva cha santushta astasya karyam na vidyate. 18. Neva tasya krite nartho na kritene kaschana na chasya sarva bhuteshu kaschidartha vyapashraya. In Hindi, परंतु वह व्यक्ति जो आत्मा से वास्तविक प्रेम करता है और आत्मा से पूर्ण रूप से संतुष्ट है और केवल आत्मा में पूर्ण तृप्ति प्राप्त करता है, उसके लिए कोई कर्तव्य नहीं रहता। ऐसे व्यक्ति द्वारा कर्म किए जाने से लाभ का कोई प्रयोजन नहीं रहता और ना ही कर्म न करने से वह कुछ खोता है। वे किसी पर भी किसी वस्तु के लिए निर्भर नहीं है। In English now. But the individual who truly loves the soul and is fully satisfied with the soul and finds utter contentment in the soul alone, for him no duty exists. Such a person has no purpose of gain in this world by performing actions, nor does he lose anything by their non-performance. He is not dependent on anyone for anything. So these are very, very excellent verses. So in verse number 17, Krishna is saying that for someone who is well established in the self and well contented with existence in the Atmic self alone, for him no duty remains. Now, we all want to be in that position where no duty remains for us. But what is it that is binding us? Are we really free, that we can just run away from this place and say, okay, I don't want to do any duty and no duty remains for? How do we know that when will that point come where no duty remains for us to do? So there are very, very simple pointers for this. For an enlightened being does not have any likes and dislikes in this world. So check for yourself. Do your boxes, can you tick those boxes? Secondly, the enlightened one has no clinging or craving towards life. And point number 3, the enlightened one has no fear of death. So these are very simple pointers. Of course, there can be a long, long list, but just by analyzing these 3-4 things maybe, and of course you can add having or not having any desires. The enlightened one has no desire, no personal desire, no attachment, no likes and dislikes, no craving or clinging to life, and no fear of death. Now, how many of these boxes can we tick for ourselves? If we are not able to tick these boxes, that means still we need to perform duties in this world. And by performing duties with the right attitude, we shall reach a point where our minds will be purified. And in those purified minds, then with the wisdom of the universe, that will be reflected in our own consciousness, and we will then be able to become enlightened. So this is the path set for us. We have to achieve control over these things that have been mentioned. So we should not, we should basically be focusing on our own life. We must be focusing on rising above likes and dislikes, and that has already been prescribed by Master, that you must practice even-mindedness and you must perform your righteous duty, because you cannot be free otherwise. If you're only trapped in likes and dislikes, then you will not be doing those actions that are necessary for you, that will eventually free you. And you will only remain at the level of the senses, because most likes and dislikes are starting from the level of the senses. I like to see this, therefore I will see only this. I like to hear this, I will hear only this. So these things will trap you. So therefore, be very, very careful and be very, very vigilant. Now, the second shloka is talking here about that such a person, so enlightened person, has nothing to gain from this world. He has nothing to gain from the operation or non-operation from the senses. Why? Because he has already found the joy of his own atman. So a person who has found the joy of the atman does not engage himself in any activities which may give him certain level of pleasure, happiness or satisfaction, because he is already living at the source of all bliss, which is his own self. He has recognized and realized that the fountain of bliss is his own atmic self, and it is not in the objects or things or activities of this world. So if we have, so again, a direction for us. Have we realized that all happiness is within me? Or am I still cribbing and complaining, and I'm in melancholy and I'm thinking life is so bad? If I'm still thinking life is so bad and everything is worst case scenario, and then all of this is sickening, and so in a higher sense it is, because that's why Krishna says to Arjuna that get away from my ocean of suffering and misery. So yes, at one point it is, but at a simpler level, what I'm saying is, if we are still cribbing and complaining, means we have not realized that joy is within me. Means I am still living in the outside, on the outside. My energy is flowing down my spine and in the outward world. Had I actually brought in my energy and had I tasted the bliss of my own soul, then I wouldn't be complaining and I wouldn't be cribbing, and I would be then satisfied and contented in my own self, as is given in shloka number 17. So this is what Master is saying. So Master goes into a little detail, and let's just hear what he's saying. He's saying, the man possessing self-respect, remembering always that he is a child of God, protects and reflects that soul image by performing right duties and by behaving properly toward others. He follows an inner guidance and, as though automatically, does what is right morally, religiously, socially, and in every other way. So such a person always reflects his oneness with spirit. And the simple sign of one who is progressing in the spiritual path is the amount of calm joy that the person possesses. So just look around yourself. There are people who are angry, there are people who are aggressive, there are people who are sad, there are people who are moody, there are people who are irritable, worried, fearful, anxious. All of these things you will see all around you. But look out for the person who is calmly joyful even under testing times. And if you find such a person, and in the spiritual journey and in a place like Ananda, you will find many such souls. Why? Because they're all truth seekers, because they're all trying to go towards God, because they've all turned their energy inwards to some extent, and they're all devotees of God. and they are connected with God and the Guru. And this gives them the power to be even-minded to whatever degree. And of course, we are all improving. Every day we could become better at it. That's what Master said, that you should become better every day. Your everyday's meditation you should try to make it better than the previous one. For suppose you're trying to get over the habit of becoming angry and irritable, then every next day you should have more control over yourself. Little by little, you will find that as you practice your meditative techniques, the hold that these bad habits have upon you, these negative attitudes have upon you, that hold will loosen up. And suddenly one day you will find yourself free from these bad tendencies. So keep going, whether it's sometimes fast, sometimes slow, but keep your direction. Do not lose hope. There is always light at the end of the tunnel. Keep trying and have the faith that now that the Guru has come in your life and you are doing your part, then God and the Guru will not let you down. So keep going. Then Master says, the yogi who has discovered the ever new joy of the soul in meditation is completely satisfied. He has found within a perfect happiness. He has achieved the purpose of life. He has fulfilled the duty for which he was born. In reuniting himself with God, he has automatically discharged all his obligations to creation. And that is why no duty is left for him to do. And he is not trying to gain any pleasure from this world. God guides the enlightened yogi to action in the world or to withdraw from it. So again, once a person is enlightened, so it is not necessary that all enlightened souls will become teachers of this world. They will be having chelas, or they will be having, a large group followings. So there may be certain people who will work in the world, and there will be certain enlightened souls who will withdraw from the world completely. And this is going to be according to God's will. And sometimes it is also because of the determination or a desire to help others from these. If these souls have ever had the desire to help others, not only to find God, but to help others, then God grants this desire to them. He fulfills this desire and allows them to help others as their heart's wishes. So some souls have so much compassion in their heart that their heart cries out for others, and they come back to help all of us. Okay. So we now come to shloka number 19. Tasmadasakta satatam karyam karmam samachara asakto hyacharan karma paramapnoti purusha. इसलिए सदा अच्छे सांसारिक कार्यों यानी कार्यम एवं आध्यात्मिक कार्यों कर्मम को आसक्ति से रहित होकर ध्यान पूर्वक करो. सब कर्मों को अनासक्ति से करने पर मनुष्य उच्चतम अवस्था प्राप्त करता है. Therefore, always conscientiously perform good material actions and spiritual actions without attachment. By doing all actions without attachment, one attains the highest. So this is a direct teaching coming from Krishna to all of us. We are all performing actions. We have no choice but to perform actions now that we are living in human bodies. Now, what is the attitude through which we should be performing these actions? Krishna says, perform all actions with non-attachment. And why does he say that we should perform actions with non-attachment? The answer is not difficult at all. So whatever actions that we are performing in this world, whether they are material or spiritual, is for one goal, and that goal is happiness. Eventually, all things is to gain happiness and to avoid pain. Now, what Krishna is saying here is, instead of performing actions in a tense and stressed out way so that you will get happiness one day, instead of that approach, isn't it better that you do your work to the best of your capability, happily and willingly right now? So instead of happiness being your destination and goal, why can't happiness be your part of your journey right now? Happily perform actions right now without expecting a certain fruit of action, rather than performing actions in a tense way so that you may and you might not get happiness at the end of the road. So make every step of your life, make every day of your life a joyful journey. And the interesting thing is that if you are willingly, conscientiously, joyfully putting your heart, mind into one particular action right now in the present moment, automatically the future will guarantee you success, because the laws of this universe are like that. And in any case, your success is going to be this struggle itself. So if you remember your past life in the sense, this life that you have lived so far, you will always remember with a thrill and sense of adventure the difficult times of your life. When life was more difficult, you look back in your life and say, oh, it was so tough at that time, and I had to do so much hard work and I had to face so many challenges, but I got over them. And of course, after we get over challenges, then we learn few lessons, our strength and courage increases, we come more in tune with the universal plan, and so on. So we gain a lot. Whenever difficulty comes, we gain a lot. So then what are we going to do now? Every action, if we perform to the best of our capability right now, right here, put all your attention on the act that you're doing right now. Do it with the love of your heart. Do it with the joy of your soul. Then you are complete right now, here only. You are free right now. Even though you appear to be performing certain actions, even then you are free. And you are not waiting for a future time to give you happiness. You are happy right here, right now. And that is why all Krishna's instructions are for this end only. When he says you have no right for fruit of action, that is also because he says if you're just fixed on a particular fruit of action, you will not be happy. But if you perform all actions, whether they are material actions or spiritual actions, with non-attachment. So even when we are meditating, even when we are praying, we are not expecting or asking or praying for a specific fruit of action. Rather, we are giving ourselves in love and as offering to God. We are saying to God, cleanse us, purify us, use us as your channels. We are your children, we are your servants. So instead of asking again, God, I want this, I want that. God, I give myself to you. You have created me, and all my body, my heart, my mind, everything is being run by you, by your power. So actually there is no I, me, mine, but we think there is. So even from that perspective of duality, you can say, I surrender to you. I surrender to your divine will, and I offer my love to you by performing all the actions that you have given to me. All my duties I will perform with love, with willingness, and with an inner joy. And this is the fire, this is an oblation, this is an offering. And once you do that, your whole life will change, because every moment will become a happy moment. So remember, karma is not karma, it is karma yoga if you do it with the right attitude. And karma yoga means you will achieve the bliss, the same bliss that meditation promises will come from your work if you do it with your right attitude. So therefore, give it your all, and don't think too much of tomorrow. Just enjoy whatever you're doing right now, and don't have specific expectations. God, as you know, as Jesus says, God has clothed the lilies of this world. It's so beautiful flowers he has created. Will he not clothe you? God feeds the birds of this world. And the birds have no, they don't have a specific, they don't grow crop or anything. So you will be fed. Now aren't you more precious? Jesus says, as humans, humans are the most, evolved souls on the planet Earth. And so when God is taking care of the flowers, of the birds, of every blade of grass, He is aware of every strand of hair on our head. Will He not take care of us if we are behaving like good children? He will. Therefore, do not worry too much about the future. Rather, invest your love, joy, attention, energy, and time right now. And with a smile on your face. If you can meet everybody that you meet, this can be just a daily exercise. Or maybe you can, just tell yourself, for the next 2 hours, I'm going to smile at everyone that I see. And slowly and progressively, you can increase this. It's a little challenging, because why? We are not aware of our own breath. We are not aware of our own expressions. We do not know when we are keeping a long face. But why keep a long face? Try to smile, because this is a beautiful temporary God's world for you. And enjoy the part that you are playing right now. And if you remember this truth that you're only playing a part, it is not going to be tough to smile. Of course, I'm not saying that when tragedy befalls you, then you're going to keep smiling. But yes, even though there are tears on the outside, but your heart is rested even at that time. So, but this has to come out of regular practice. You have to keep yourself always alert and aware where my emotions are going, where are my thoughts going, and where is my energy going, where is my attention. How is my body, how is the posture of my body? Is my breath shallow? Is my breath deep? All of this, a yogi is very, very aware. A yogi is a smart person. A yogi knows from where his happiness comes from where his sorrow comes from. And he does everything to align his life to all that gives pure joy and bliss of the soul, and not temporary pleasure, but lasting joy and bliss of the soul. Okay. So here, how do we, simple things as to how we can modify our actions so that we can go further into non-attachment is, the first thing is obviously to change the direction of our action. If we are doing anything that is non-ethical or non-moral, or anything that is draining our energy, or we are doing anything of the, the 5 yamas and the 5 niyamas. So if we are going against those, we must check that first. And we should convert all our negative or non-ethical actions into ethical and moral actions first. Now, why ethics and morality is important? Because we have said earlier that unless the mind is pure, you will not be able to see God. So when you perform ethical actions, moral actions, all of this is to purify your mind and to cleanse your heart so that you can commune with God directly, means you can see the image of God in yourself. And therefore, this is imperative to do. There is no shortcut. There is no bypass. You have to do this. So once you have converted your non-ethical actions into ethical actions, the next step is to refine them even further. Refine them further means from ethical actions come to unselfish actions. So there are some people who will perform good actions, but mainly for selfish motives, for the I, me mind. So if we want to go towards God realization, then our ethical actions should eventually become unselfish actions. And then unselfish actions should eventually become all God uniting actions. And from all of this, series, step by step, we will start to realize that we are made in the image of God and God is the doer. And you will find that your sense of happiness in life and satisfaction will increase. As you follow this chain of events from non-ethical to ethical to unselfish to God-uniting actions, the grass will get greener with every step. And the happiness, your level of satisfaction, the sense of fulfillment, the sense of completeness in your life, that will start to increase with every step that you take here. Okay. Interestingly, every good thought and every good action that you perform, Swamiji said, raises your kundalini. That means in the past shloka, we talked about the ascension of the wheel. The wheel that has come down has to ascend back. So if you want the energy to rise in the astral spine, it is scientific knowledge, that yogic science basically, that with every positive thought, with every good action, with every time you are unselfish, then upliftment of your energy will happen and expansion of your consciousness will happen. So automatically you will going towards liberation. But there is a difference between just doing good actions in this world or adding, meditative action. So even if you do just good actions, it will take many, many, many lifetimes to attain liberation. So what the yogi does is, yogi takes the shortcut path or the aeroplane route, and he works directly with prana or life force. And then he manages his life force and prana in such a way as taught by the guru and the saints, that he is able to commune with God at a faster rate, and he's able to become a Jivan Mukta in very limited years or 1 or 2 lifetimes, as compared to the thousands of lifetimes that one needs even by simply performing good actions, for the simple reason. Why? So why is this so? This is so because even when you are performing good actions, you are still allowing your energy and attention to go into the outer world. But when you are going the yogi's way, you are directly going into the inner world. So that bypasses so many things, that hastens your process, in the process of, of evolution, of upliftment, of enlightenment to a high degree. And similarly, I was listening to the Dhammapada by Buddha, and the Buddha has said a similar thing. He said that if you are doing charity, and if you are, let us say, you are giving 1,000 rupees or $1,000 every month for 100 years. He said better and faster than that, by doing such charity, better than is to pay homage to a God realized saint. So when you pay homage to a God realized saint, how do you pay homage? By going within. When you turn your energy within, now that is much faster and much better as compared to giving thousands of rupees every month for hundreds or thousands of years. So this is the comparison. One is the outer life and one is the inner life. Doing charity is very good. Doing good actions is very, very good. You have to do this because eventually this will purify your mind. But if you are already at a point where you are a noble person and you're overall leading a good life, and now is the time that you want to accelerate your spiritual progress, therefore you must turn inwards. And therefore, you must follow the Guru's teachings and the techniques that have been given to you for self-realization, and use this key that you already have to ascend to higher states of consciousness. Okay? So we now come to shloka number 20. कर्मणैव हिं संसिद्धिम् अस्थिता जनकादया लोकसंग्रमे वापि संपश्यन् कर्तुमर्हसि। केवल उचित कर्म के पथ का अनुसरण करके ही जनकादि ज्ञानी जन पूर्णता को प्राप्त हुए, तथा केवल लोगों का उचित मार्गदर्शन करने के लिए भी तुम्हें कर्म करना चाहिए। By the path of right action alone, Janak and others like him reached perfection, also simply for the purpose of rightly guiding mortals. Thou shouldst perform actions. So an example of Raja Janak has been brought here. And in context to Raja Janak, I have a couple of stories to share with you. So as we know, Janak was the father of Sita. He was the emperor of Mithila. He was also a Brahmagyani. So he was attained that state of enlightenment. So now once one of the subjects asked him this question that, O king, O emperor, how is it, what karma did you do, how have you attained this state where you are father of the mother of the universe, means Sita, where you are this grand emperor and where you are a Brahmagyani as well. So when this question is asked to Janak, he's not able to sleep that night, and he is pondering over this question, and as he falls asleep for a little time, he has a dream. And in the dream, a saint appears to him, and the saint says to him that if you want to get the answer of this question, you must start walking west. Maybe I'm just randomly saying a direction because I don't remember whether it was west or north or whatever. So in this direction, you must go, and you must keep walking in this direction till you reach a tree, and under the tree, you will find a sage who is eating leaves. So maybe he has the answer to your question. Now, of course, Raja Janak is a Brahmagyani, but the stories are here to tell us something, and therefore, there are Puranic stories, and these stories which have a moral in them, and therefore, we also enjoy listening to them. So this is when he gets up in the morning, he starts walking in that particular direction. He walks the whole day. As the sun is about to set, he reaches that tree under which the sage is sitting, and he's eating only leaves. And this sage he addresses, of course, their greetings exchange. And the sage says, I know you have come to ask me a question, but I do not have answer to your question. But there is one person who can maybe give answer to your question, but I urge you to keep walking in this same direction until you find a tree under which a sage is sitting who is eating just ashes. So next he rests for the night, and the next day King Janaki starts to walk further westward, and the whole day he walks, and by sunset he reaches the tree under which there is this man who's eating ashes. And of course, because he's also a sage, he understands why Janak is here, and they exchange greetings, and he says to him again that I know you are here for the answer to your question, but sadly I do not have that answer. But you will have to go further westwards, and you will reach a village where a newborn baby has been just born, and he will have the answer to your question. So again, strange part of stories where newborn infants can maybe converse and also converse in Sanskrit, so whatever that means. But so Raja Janaka, he rests the night. The next day he starts walking towards that village, and the village he speaks to the village headman, and the village headman respects, because he understands that he's an emperor. And so the king says, I want to speak to the newly born baby. And the villagers say, okay. And so the king and the little baby are in a room, and the baby is speaking. And of course, King Janak places his question, and the baby then narrates another story to Raja Janak. And the story he tells is about that how long ago there was a mother, and the mother had 4 children, and she was a widow, and there was a huge drought in the area, and there was nothing to eat. And it was with great difficulty the mother finally was able to procure 4 chapatis or 4 bread pieces, and she herself went hungry, but she gave 1 piece to each child. And just as they were about to eat that piece of bread, a guest came, and the guest was hungry, and the guest requested for food. So when he asked the first child, the eldest child, that can you please share your chapati with me? Because he asked the mother said, I have already distributed to the children. The children will decide whether they want to give it or not. So when he asks the first child, will you give me your chapati? The child refuses, and he says, what do you think am I going to eat? Am I going to eat leaves if I give you this chapati? So the baby says that the first sage that you met who was eating leaves was this boy. So then the sage asks, the guest asks the second child that, will you give me a piece of bread because I'm very hungry. So this boy says, what am I going to eat? And do you think I'm going to eat ashes if I give this piece to you? So he said, he is the second sage that you met under the tree who was eating ashes. And it said the third boy was when he was asked that, will you give me your share of bread? And this boy said, if I give you my share of bread, will I not die tomorrow? He said that I am that child. And this is a history with me that I am born and then the next day I die. And this is because I am that soul. And he said, when the guest asks the fourth child for the piece of bread, the child offers that piece of bread to the guest. And of course, in a couple of days, the child dies. So the baby says, Raja Janak, you are that fourth child who gave his own piece of bread to the guest and invited death on himself. And so this is by the virtue of this karma. And of course, he would have had other great karmas as well, that you enjoy this emperorship, this Brahma Gyan, and being the father of Mother Sita at the same time. So this is a story that is a little intimidating, but also revealing the truth that yes, karma does matter, our attitudes do matter, and we should be very careful with what we are doing. And giving is such an act, as the Gita says, that if you just take and don't give, then you are a thief. Also, the Buddha says that if you knew how much good comes from charity, if you knew that how good it is, how much good karma comes out of giving food to others, you will not have even a single meal without sharing it first with others. So there is a lot of power in this. And although in the urban, materialistic, selfish setup, we have forgotten these values, but all those who are present here, who are reading these truths, must go back into, giving a little of themselves, maybe tithing, maybe just feeding the hungry, maybe giving employment to others in need, maybe educating people in whatever little way you can help the world. It is always a good idea to do such a thing. The other story that about Raja Janak, so he's a Brahmagyani, we know. On the other hand, we come to the writer of the Mahabharata, who's Rishi Vedvyas. So Vedvyas, of course, is a Brahmagyani, and he is organized all the Vedas. So it is said, out of his fire right came out his son Sukadeva. And Sukadeva was wanted to now, as he was a very small child, and he asked Vedvyas as to what should I do. So Vedvyas sent this child to Brihaspati, that is Guru, and said, get training from there. So the child goes to goes to Brihaspati, and he gets himself trained in the Vedas, and he comes back to his father. And then he again asks his father as to what he should do. So then Vedvyas says, why you should go and visit King Janak. So Sukadeva is here a little perplexed that, King Janak, he's a married man, he's the king, he appears to be a completely attached person who is enjoying the pleasures of this life. Why do you think I should go to such a person when I am your own child and you are Brahmagyani and you are such a sage and I have gained my knowledge from Brihaspati? Why are you sending me to a worldly householder? So then Vedvyasa tells him that he will understand when he reaches. So Sukadeva goes to Mithila. There he meets with King Janak. And King Janak knows why he has come here. So he immediately, kind of starts training the new disciple. And just he does a few activities and tests to help Sukadeva understand Brahmagyan. So the first thing he does, he gives a lamp, an oil lamp, to Sukadeva, and he says, go around this palace, the whole palace, and see what is there in the palace, but you should not allow even a single drop of oil to spill from the lamp. So this is what Sukadeva does. He takes the oil lamp, he goes around the palace, he comes back, and then he says, look, I had not even a single drop of oil has dropped from the lamp. But then when Janak asks him, what did you see in the palace? Can you describe it? Sukadeva is unable to describe that. So he says, now I want you to go and I want you to be aware of the entire palace. So this time Sukadeva goes again, he comes back, he describes the palace in great detail, but he finds that some oil has dripped from the lamp. So again, this test is not cleared. Then Janaka instructs him again to center himself. And then this time when Sukadeva goes around the palace, not even a single drop of oil falls, and he is aware of everything in the palace, and he describes it back to Janak. And how is this possible? So now here is the interplay between the focus of the mind and our increased awareness. When we are so focused, now focus mostly comes from the point between the eyebrows where we have the prefrontal cortex. Once we are so focused, what happens is, and if you have been trained in yoga in some way, you find a kind of a centeredness and a kind of a silence comes upon you. And in that silence and focused energy, not only can you keep the light of the lamp non-flickering, not only can you keep the oil from not spilling, but also you can be intensely aware of what is happening around you. And this is the instruction for us as well, what Krishna said, that you must work in this world with non-attachment. If you see things around the world and suddenly you say, I want to grab this, I like this, I want to grab this, I want to have that, then your attention will scatter. But if you are just going through the world, just observing, just witnessing, completely centered in yourself, then the lamp of your heart will not flicker. The oil will not spill out. And you will still be able to be aware intensely of what is happening in the world. And that is how Krishna is advising us to live in this world. And there's another story from Janak. So also to show him humility, the lesson of humility, it is said that after a particular dinner arrangement, somehow it was arranged that Sukadeva would see Janak from outside the window. And when Sukadeva is seeing the king from outside the window, he sees that the king is organizing the food, he's eventually cleaning the food and even removing the garbage. So this makes him understand that even though he is a king and an emperor, but he is full of humility. And then there's another story. It's that when Janaka is training Sukadeva, they are sitting in a room, and suddenly a person from the ministry comes, or a person, the santri comes, and he says, "Oh King Janak, oh King Janak, there is fire in the city." And King Janak keeps sitting there. On the other hand, what Sukadeva remembers is that, oh, he had he had washed his asana and he's washed his loin cloth, and they must be drying and they will get burnt. And if they get burnt, what will happen? So Sukadeva is extremely restless immediately. On the other hand, even when the king gets the message that the whole city is burning down, he stays calm and centered. So Sukadeva has few objects of ownership, and he's attached to them. The King Janaka, being the king, having the ownership of the entire kingdom, is still not perturbed even when there is a breaking storm around him. Now this feels surreal. We think we cannot do it, but only an enlightened person who knows that this is only a dream, and that by losing possessions of this world, he truly does not lose himself. And his true treasure is only his atmic self. And that he can always reconstruct on the outside what he had done previously. That is only temporary. So that you do not lose yourself in the things of the world. You are so attached to the things of the world that if something is taken away from you, then you think you are gone. You will always stay. Even when the body will die, you will continue to exist. Leave alone the things that you possess in this world. And your happiness comes, yes, it does come from certain outward circumstances, but mostly you are the source of your joy. Your own attitude will determine how happy you are at any given point in time. So these are the lessons that we see that Sukadeva, who is already a high soul and the son of Vedvyasa, learns from this enlightened being King Janaka. And therefore, Krishna has also brought the example of King Janaka here. Because by performing great actions in a non-attached way, King Janaka has set an example. He has achieved that state of Karma Yoga and Brahma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, where he has attained the wisdom of the universe, and so can we. And also he says that when we have such examples in society, then these people continue to work because they set an example for all others to follow. And we are here following. And therefore, we can follow the life of Ram, we can follow the life of Janaka, we can follow the life of Krishna. And we are Arjuna right now, seeking the truth, asking the truth. Why should I fight this battle? I don't feel like fighting this battle. Do I really need to fight? Who am I really? And Krishna is here as a friend. He is giving us all the guidance as to how you should act, how you should think, what are the attitudes you should have, and where your energy should go, where should your attention go. That's why the Bhagavad Gita is the manual for life. It tells you what exactly to do, how to do. And with this, our lives become more beautiful. Not only do we go towards the path of liberation and we go towards enlightenment, but even our current lives are become like beautiful gardens, where we are aware of what thought seeds we are planting. We are aware what flowers will come out, what fruits will come out, where we have that sense. If we know that if we are planting good actions right now, then good fruits will come off out of it. So it just makes us happy to be in the moment, to do good actions, to love God, to love everybody, to contemplate on higher truths, and to just, silence ourself, silence the restlessness of the body, breath, and mind through meditation. And only then, and then alone, can you experience joyful living. Without meditation, without being able to quieten your mind, there is no happiness in this world. There's little pleasures are there, but they are so self-limiting. They're all a dead end. However, you may be very, very intellectual, you may have a lot of money, you may have a lot of friends, you may even enjoy good health. But if there is no love in the heart, And if there is no communion with higher potential, then your life is incomplete. Therefore, let's recognize what really matters to us and then work with that, work on that. And then all of us, it is both again our right and duty to work towards our own self-realization, our own freedom, our own unconditional love and joy. Okay. Let's read the next shloka. We'll just take a couple of minutes to go through this shloka today. Shlok 21, chapter 3. Yadyadacharit shreshthasta tadevetaro jana sayat pramanam kurute lokastadanu vartate. जो कुछ एक श्रेष्ठ व्यक्ति करता है, अश्रेष्ठ व्यक्ति उसका अनुसरण करते हैं, उसके कार्य जगत के लोगों के लिए एक मानक बन जाते हैं. Whatever a superior being does, inferior persons imitate. His actions set a standard for the people of the world. So this is in continuation with the previous shloka, that the superior person must act conscientiously. The parents should act in such a way that when the children imitate, they imitate noble actions. The teachers should behave in such a way that when the children imitate, because the children may not understand by just telling them, but they will imitate your actions. The teacher's behavior should be such that the students can imitate the teacher. The boss's behavior should be such that the employees can follow that behavior. If the boss is not sincere, but he is expecting sincerity from the employees, it is not going to happen. If the boss is not hardworking, but expecting hard work from the employees, not going to work. So the senior person, the superior person, the nobler person always has to set an example which the others can imitate. And a little metaphysical angle that Master adds to this, he says not only superiority is in a position, in the outward position. In our own being, we must understand that the mind is superior to the body. And the mind should be able to control the body. So it's that if we are, we know that if we are happy, then our body follows, the posture changes, our heart is open, our face smiles. So the body will behave according to the dictates of the mind. If your mind is full of all trash, all rubbish, only political news, only sad news, only melancholy, only gossip, then your body is going to have certain diseases. Therefore, because the mind is superior, you should fill consciously the mind with good thoughts, with positive thoughts, with loving thoughts, with unselfish thoughts, with God-uniting thoughts. And when you do that, your body will behave accordingly. It will imitate the mind because mind is the boss here. And the body will be a healthy body, an energetic body, enthusiastic body with a great aura, with confidence, with courage. And all those qualities will be reflected also in the body. So with that amazing thought by Krishna and by Master, we will end today's class and we will share the blessings that we have received with soul friends everywhere. Let us pray together. Divine Mother, beloved Krishna, thou art omnipresent. Thou art in all thy children. Manifest thy healing presence in all bodies, all minds, all hearts, and all souls. Om. 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 Divine Mother, great Gurus, beloved Krishna, may thy love shine forever on the sanctuary of our devotion, and may we be able to awaken thy love in all true hearts. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.